Two of the top contenders in the AFC go down in week one, plus The Last Dance look more like the sequel to Save the Last Dance. It's the first week of the NFL season. It's a Locked On NFL podcast.
You are Locked On NFL, your daily NFL podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Fire it up. It is the Locked On NFL podcast. I'm your Monday host, Bo Brack, and this episode is brought to you by our Locked On NFL Sunday show that talks about every game, every team in depth. Checked out Locked On NFL Sunday's live show every Sunday morning, 11 Eastern, 8 in the West. No sketches, no celebrity cameos, no fluff, just football every Sunday morning with host Cody Rourke, Ross Jackson. Follow, subscribe to Locked On Live on Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and of course our YouTube page. Don't forget to turn on notifications to be notified when the show goes live every Sunday morning at 11 Eastern. We have a lot to get into on this episode of the Locked On NFL podcast. I'm your Monday host, daily host of Locked On Cardinals. Cardinals with a big win on Sunday, taking out one of the big contenders in the AFC to open things up, the Tennessee Titans. We'll get more in depth into that contest. Plus, we're going to talk to Sosa Kremenjas of Locked On Rams. Rams, a big Sunday night football victory of the Chicago Bears. We did get the debut of all five rookie quarterbacks, first-round rookie quarterbacks on Sunday. How'd they do? We'll get into those conversations. Plus, we're also going to talk to our guy, Ross Jackson, one of the shocking victories, the Saints blowing the doors off of Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. Also, soon, we're going to talk to Pittsburgh Steelers, Locked On Steelers host Christopher Carter about their win over the Buffalo Bills. Let's get into the action, though. Looking at the early games from Sunday, it was the Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts, 3 touchdowns. His rookie wide receiver, Devontae Smith, former Alabama teammate, they didn't miss a beat. 71 yards and a touchdown for the rookie wideout. Atlanta Falcons, pretty quiet day. They lose 32-6. Kyle Pitts, 4 catches for 31 yards. Cincinnati Bengals shocked the Minnesota Vikings in overtime, 27-24 as Jamar Chase linking back up with his college quarterback at LSU and Joe Burrow. Chase, 105 yards, a touchdown. Joe Mixon was a monster on the ground, 127 yards, rushing and a touchdown. Kirk Cousins in a losing effort, 351 yards, 2 touchdowns. Both of those touchdowns he connected with Adam Thielen, who looks like he's back and healthy after last season. The San Francisco 49ers, we did see the debut of Trey Lance. He threw the first touchdown pass for the Niners, who went up big early on the Detroit Lions, but squeaked one out, 41-33. Deebo Samuel, monster game in the air, 189 yards and a touchdown. Looked like a true wide receiver one. And Jared Goff, 338 yards, 3 touchdowns. He did throw a pick 6 to a team that he used to face on the regular when he was a member of the Los Angeles Rams. And the Seattle Seahawks, another NFC West team doing work. They beat the Indianapolis Colts 28-16. Russell Wilson, 258 yards, 4 touchdowns. 2 of those touchdowns to his wide receiver, Tyler Lockett. And Carson Wentz, a lot of dinking and dunking, 251 yards and 2 scores in his Indianapolis Colts debut, which was up in the air most of the early Sunday, but he came out there, threw 2 touchdowns, took care of the football, the guy that led the league in interceptions last season. Looking at the other early games, it was the Los Angeles Chargers taking out the Washington football team in Landover, Maryland. Justin Herbert showed that it was not just a fluky rookie season. 337 yards, a touchdown. He did throw an interception. Austin Eckler had a touchdown on the ground as the Bolts took care of business. Ryan Fitzpatrick did exit this game for the Washington football team with an injured hip in the second quarter. He'll get an MRI today. It was Taylor Heinicke who started a playoff game for the Washington football team last season, and he finished the game. Not enough. They fall 20-16. The Carolina Panthers, they take out the New York Jets. Sam Darnold revenge game. He threw a touchdown. Christian McCaffrey had 98 yards on the ground, 89 yards in the air. They take out the Jets 19-14. Zach Wilson, he threw a pick. He also threw 2 touchdowns, 258 yards. Both those touchdowns to his new wide receiver, Corey Davis, who comes over from the Tennessee Titans. And the Houston Texans, this was one of the shockers of the morning. or of the early games. It was the Texans 37, the Jaguars 21. Trevor Lawrence, for the first time in his life, throws 3 interceptions. He threw 3 picks. He did throw 3 touchdowns. He did throw for 332 yards, but it was all up to Rod Taylor, 291 yards in the air, 2 touchdowns, and was connecting with Brandon Cooks quite a bit. Cooks 132 yards. He continues to parlay last year's strong campaign into another one in game 1 of the 2021 NFL season with the Houston Texans starting out 1-0. I mean, not a lot of people should be shocked that they took out the Jaguars, but there wasn't a lot of hype surrounding this Texans team going into this contest. And then the Arizona Cardinals, I mentioned it, the team I cover on a daily basis, just handling the Tennessee Titans, a team that has made the postseason in back-to-back years. 38-13. Chandler Jones was a man possessed coming off the biceps injury, which limited him to 5 games last season. But Chandler Jones, 5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and he's in a contract season, so he's looking to secure the bag. He's over the age of 30. He's looking for that last big deal. And Chandler Jones playing like the guy who had 19 sacks in 2019 in that contest. And then you also had Kyler Murray. He had 5 total touchdowns, 4 through the air, 2 of those to DeAndre Hopkins, another 2 to Christian Kirk, and then a rushing touchdown. Kyler Murray had 11 rushing touchdowns last season for the Arizona Cardinals, 37 total touchdowns. And he got out on a hot start for Arizona, where the expectations are there for the first time in a long time after being the team selecting number 1 overall, which got him Kyler Murray in 2018, just 3 wins. And now another big victory in back-to-back years for the Cardinals to open up the season. One more big game of the early games. It was kind of shocking. It's the Buffalo Bills, who were supposed to be the team coming out of the AFC, or at least to contend to. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers were supposed to be the team that was supposed to fall off in 2021. Who won that contest? We'll get to a full breakdown with Christopher Carter of Locked On Pittsburgh Steelers. Football season's back. Let's make the most of it. The better way to create your custom pool at runyourpool.com, the premier sports pool hosting service. Run Your Pool makes it ridiculously easy to run a football pool with friends, family, and your office mates. They offer dozens of formats, including Survivor, Pick'em Squares, Margin, Confidence Pools, 33, and more. Run Your Pool hosts formats for the NFL, college football, and 1-week games, full season, playoffs, or the Super Bowl. Unlike other fantasy sports platforms, Run Your Pool has options and settings to make it your own. You can even brand your pool for your local business, bar, or restaurant. Reconnect with friends and join nearly 2 million football fans to make every game action-packed this season. Check them out today. Get $10 off runyourpool.com/lockedon or use the promo code LOCKEDON at checkout. Anywhere, everywhere in the world, Run Your Pool helps friends and colleagues compete. The NFL season starts September 9th. It's in full swing. What am I talking about? Start today. Runyourpool.com/lockedon. It's not too late, and you'll have your pool up and running in minutes. Runyourpool.com/lockedon. The Buffalo Bills, the trendy pick. Everybody's kind of darling, the AFC darling to go to the Super Bowl outside of maybe the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, probably the trendy pick to fall off a cliff in 2021. And then when the games kicked off, well, the Steelers kind of kicked the Bills in the mouth. And we saw in the season opener, not the Steelers that we're used to seeing, where it's more offense. They're getting back to their old ways. We bring in, of course, Christopher Carter. You hear him here Fridays here on the Locked On NFL podcast with your boy Q at Carter Critiques. And Chris, it really was kind of that defense setting the tone early to kind of help maybe supplement this offense trying to knock the rust off.
Absolutely. And this is how we knew the Steelers were going to have to play if they wanted to win games, especially while this offense is figuring things out. New offensive coordinator, basically an entirely new offensive line, 2 rookies starting on that offensive line, neither of which were picked in the first or second rounds. 3rd-round draft pick Kendrick Green and 4th-round draft pick Dan Moore Jr. And then, of course, rookie running back Najee Harris, rookie tight end Pat Freiermuth. I mean, that's 4 guys that are featured prominently in this offense who are rookies. And that's going to take time to gel. So yeah, this defense that just signed TJ Watt and made him the most expensive player, or the highest paid player in the NFL, they came to ball. And Bo, I mean, it wasn't just TJ Watt. He may have had 2 sacks and a forced fumble, but Alex Highsmith, Melvin Ingram, the guy they brought in, Cam Hayward, they were all getting after Josh Allen, making his life miserable throughout the game. The Bills scored 16 points. They only did that once last year. And I mean, that's phenomenal. A team that was ranked number 2 in offense last year, averaged over 31 points per game, was held to a single touchdown. That's phenomenal. And especially when your offense gave you 0 points in the first half and only one, and I mean, the Steelers offense only gave them 1 touchdown throughout the game. It was a blocked punt that gave them the other touchdown.
Is this Steelers defense good enough to be the best in the NFL?
Absolutely. I mean, I've been saying that for a while. They would have been the best in the NFL last year if they didn't lose half their defense. I mean, that's something that people forget. Like, oh, the Steelers, they didn't know how to win down the stretch. I'm like, no. Bud Dupree got hurt. Alex Highsmith got hurt. Devin Bush got hurt. Robert Spillane got hurt. Vince Williams got COVID. Joe Hayden got COVID. Like it was just like people just seem to ignore that when they started losing games. And I'm like, do we not see that there's like 8 players missing? And then yes, the defense is eventually going to fall to pieces. And in fact, in that Bills game last year, in the first half, Bills fans were wondering, why can't we move the ball on this defense? This is ridiculous. And then the second half, they attacked the middle of the field where the Steelers were down to 4th and 5th string inside linebackers. They in fact converted a box safety, Marcus Allen, to be an off-ball linebacker in that game. And it was a big failure. But this year, Joe Schobert and Devin Bush, no interceptions, no sacks or nothing, but quietly had very good games. And you saw when Josh Allen needed to kind of go away from the corners because Cam Sutton had a really good game. Joe Hayden looked really solid. Even James Pierre, that guy that they brought in, an undrafted guy last year, and he's stepping up this year. They all played pretty well. There wasn't an easy spot for Josh Allen to hit consistently in this game, and that made a huge difference.
Locked On NFL podcast, Bo Brack hanging out with Christopher Carter, of course, Locked On NFL Fridays here. And just take me through this game because it's 10-0 going into halftime. And we talk about a slow start for this offense, but, was there concern? I mean, what was the kind of the feeling surrounding the Steelers team? Did you think that it was going to be 0-1 to come out of the gates?
I mean, I predicted them to lose this game 27-24. I thought they would put up a really good fight. But I thought eventually Josh Allen would find a way to score late and give the Bills the edge that they needed. And early on, the offense looked kind of like I thought they would. Not all the way together, not taking the shots down the field, trying to protect Ben Roethlisberger, not being able to figure out the run game yet. But I will say this, the offensive line has the athleticism to be there. It wasn't like they were just outmatched. It looks like hey, their timing's off right now. But you saw when they got out and got moving, they called a couple wide receiver screens. You saw Kendrick Green in the center just flying downfield and crushing people. You saw the same thing out of Kevin Dotson and Trey Turner just mowing people over. This offensive line has the athleticism to be much better. They just need to figure out their timing and figure out how to work together. That's the direction that this team can be headed. But yeah, in the first half, I mean, it was like, will the Steelers even score? Will they figure it out? But that was what I think they really did with Ben Roethlisberger. They said, listen, we're not going to have you take shots until we figure out what they're trying to take away. In the second half, they did that. And again, they scored, I think, 3 field goals and a touchdown on top of their blocked punt that was scored for a touchdown. But that offense, every time they touched the ball, they either scored or they knelt out the clock in the second half. That's what you want out of this team. You don't need them to be Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell days of offense. You need them to just be good enough, don't turn the ball over, and let that superstar defense go win it for you. And that is the best defense in the league, I believe. They got the best safety in the league, the best edge rusher in the league. They got maybe the best 1-2 punch of defensive tackles in the league if Stephon Tuitt can come back healthy. And that's the thing. A guy that had 11 sacks last year up the middle didn't even play in this game. If he can get back healthy for the Steelers this year and they can stay healthy down the stretch, watch out. This defense is going to be the best in the league.
And talk about what's going to be the best in the league. I mean, when we start to preview week 2, Raiders, Steelers, you got your 2 hosts hosting Friday right here, the Locked On NFL podcast. It's going to be electric. You're going to have to tune in. It's going to be must listen to podcast and must watch here on the YouTube channel. Christopher, man, it was a shocking result. As you said, you didn't predict it, but Steelers 1-0, baby.
Yes, they are, and I really think people need to watch out. Again, I'm not saying the Steelers are Super Bowl champions this year, but I am telling you, Bo, right now, the people that said that they're going to be 5 wins or 6 wins, I think you're out of your mind. It would take a number of serious injuries to derail this team. They still have a winning core. They're still a winning organization. They know how to pick things up. And this is a very talented roster from top to bottom. They're going to figure it out. They're going to be in the playoffs this year. And if they're healthy, I see them giving a lot of people a lot of fits.